Well, hello everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Zeb Welborn. I am President and CEO of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm up on the district leadership team for the public image for Rotary. I'm also here with one of my public image partners, Amy Vandermark, who's also with the Rotary District 5300. Amy, would you mind introducing yourself real quick?
Absolutely. Amy Vandermark with the Rotary Club of Boulder City and your public image chair for 2025-2026.
Excellent. So we have a series of different workshops. We're going to be working with Rotary Clubs on how to do better in certain things when it comes to public image. So this first session is going to be on social media. So these are the how-tos, the 101s, the do's and do-nots of social media. So I'm going to try my best to walk through those. And just as we do that, I'm going to highlight a little bit about why I'm the one presenting on this today. So my name is Zeb Welborn. I am President and CEO of the Chino Valley Chamber of Commerce. I also have a digital marketing company called Welborn Media. I started this digital company at the start of social media back in 2010 and have been running that social media business for the last 15 years. We do help businesses from a variety of different industries. I do have, and you're going to learn a little bit about the different niches that we have, but I'm going to be talking about social media and how we can use it to enhance Rotary. And I'm going to be using examples from my personal experience in working with golf courses, in working with local businesses, and working with chambers of commerce. So I'm going to share some highlights of that during the presentation today. But I will just tout a little bit about what I brought to our chamber or our Rotary Club back when I started. So I was president. I actually can't remember when I was president when we started, but I did become president of our Chino Valley Rotary Club when I started my career. So it was probably 2013, 2014, 2015, sometime around there, and became Rotary Club president. I've been a member since and have joined the district PR team on several different occasions. I have a lot of, we've gotten a lot of PR through the work that we've done through the Rotary Club space. So one of the things that we had was this article appeared in the Huffington Post. It was like why entrepreneurs should get involved in their local businesses. And this is one of my favorite photos because it has my newborn son who's looking up at me as I was taking on my role as president of the Rotary Club and a lot of friends and family. And this was also at the golf course that I started my social media career, but also started my professional life as I worked there from the time I was end of high school to the end of college. When I was the president of our Rotary Club, what I implemented was a social strategy, I'll say it. So it's social media, like how to do social media marketing. So we did a lot of social media at our Rotary Club when I took over as president. And in one day, we inducted 9 new members. I think when I was the president, we were one of the fastest growing Rotary clubs in the country. So I think we went from 14 to like 28 members by the time we were done my term as president of the Rotary Club. So that's some experience. And I use these social strategies, which I'll talk a little bit about later. But here's why you want to be on social media. Rotary is a very well-known for all of us, obviously. It's a very well-known organization, has a lot of impact. Rotary has 1.2 million members, and this was several years ago, but Facebook has more than 2 billion users. And so you see the graph there, the blue line, which is non-existent, is the number of Rotary clubs in comparison with the people that are on Facebook. So if we're looking to influence people and get people connected and involved with the Rotary mission, Facebook you have a lot of people there to get engaged and involved. So here's what I wanted to share with you. This is my plan for today is number one, I want you to have a vision on how to think socially. I want you to get an understanding of how social media can drive ROI. And in our case, it's driving memberships or getting more people engaged and involved in the work that we do. And then I want to share some creative social media ideas that will give you some suggestions. I'm going to do that in a variety of different ways. So here's some examples of things like this was when I was the PR chair. So this is a presentation I gave to try to get people involved in our Rotary organization and do PR. So this is dated, but it's still, the concepts are still good. This was a post of things that do well on social media is you have a lot of faces, you're doing activities, you're doing things. So these are the things that drive engagement, and that's what you want to see. And I was highlighting all of the different posts. We did some video content. We have celebrities that are involved in our posts. And so when we're looking at which ones were performing well, it's the things that are kind of having those types of programs. The things that I want to highlight when you're doing social media is I think a lot of people look at social media as a bulletin board. The reality is it's a story. I mean, you can use it as that, but the most effective way to use it is a storytelling piece. So it's telling your story about the work that you do in your communities, and that's what really drives engagement. And social media, the things that social media values is it values engagement. So anytime somebody clicks on the like button, they watch a video for longer than just a couple of seconds. They click the share button. They leave a comment. Those are the things that Facebook and their algorithms and Instagram, they're all going to show those things more often. And when you do that, you're enhancing your influence and you're reaching more people and you're reaching more people with your message. So it's thinking about, this is the idea about how to think socially. So when you're doing things in your community, those are really the things that you should start capturing to make sure that you put that on your social media channels. So here's some tips just to be successful based off of the good content that we shared at the Rotary District when I was there at that time is making sure that it's timely. So things are happening in the moment when you want to highlight and post those. Number two is you want to make sure that you're collaborating with other people. So I know that as Rotarians, we're often partnering with different entities, organizations, and charitable groups. And so we want to be able to tag those groups on social media because it won't just go with our followers. That content will also show up with the followers of the people that we're tagging. So the more we can collaborate and partner online, the more exposure we're going to have, the more people we're going to reach. Another good tip is using Facebook groups. So one of the things that I feel like we did really well when I was president of the Rotary Club back then is we did capture all of our events on video, and then we shared those videos inside of local community Facebook groups. So I think most communities have a robust Facebook group where there's a lot of engagement and people talking about things that are happening in the community. When we share things that we're doing from a give back standpoint, there's going to be a lot of interaction, a lot of folks from those groups. So as Rotarians, if we're doing something good in our community, we should also be sharing those things inside of Facebook groups or other community groups to make sure that exposure enhances and increases. And then you want to make sure that you're connecting with your media contacts. So there's a lot of different folks you can connect with on social media. And this is influencers, but it's also your local newspaper if you have one, or local news stations. Being connected with them on social media allows for them to see that stuff. And then videos do get more exposure, and they usually like short form video content. So the ones with they're just a few seconds tend to get more traction than others. But just doing video content is going to have more success usually than if you're posting photos or just text posts. So here's an example of some of those photos that we did. This was a thing that we gave. We gave out food and supplies at a local food pantry. We were delivering those. We shot videos of our Rotarians at work. We shared what the mission of the organization was. We shared that inside of Facebook groups, and that's how we help attract a lot of those people that became members to the Rotary. So here's like 3 really easy tips. I'm going to be giving a lot of different sets of tips today. But number one is, and these are like the 3 easy things. So when I say think socially, these are the 3 easy things to do. Is number one, do stuff. So I think and I don't want to say this is indicative of a lot of Rotary clubs, but I just remember when I joined ours when we first started, there wasn't much action that our club did. There was a lot of, we had our monthly meetings or weekly meetings. We'd come in, we'd listen to a lecture, we'd make some discussion and have some decisions, and then we'd go on our way. But we didn't actually like go in the community, like serving that food pantry or doing that type of work. And I know many of you do, but that just wasn't the case, the experience that I had. So this was like, if I were talking about highlighting the work that we did on social media, this is what it would look like before we were doing stuff. You're just having a person that's kind of talking at the front of the room. You're taking a picture of that. You're sharing that on social media. It's not necessarily the most engaging and exciting thing from like an engagement standpoint. But when you're doing stuff in the community like that food pantry that I mentioned, and capturing that and sharing that on your social medias, those are the things that really inspire people to get engaged and do stuff. So number one tip is doing stuff. And number 2 is, and this is not an easy thing to do, it seems easier said than done, is making sure that you're documenting and that you're sharing the work that you do. So as Rotarians, I think what I've gathered from my years in the Rotary Clubs is we're humble. We want to do good work just for the sake of doing good work. So we don't try to like tout the good work that we're doing, or we don't highlight it publicly as much as we should. And the reason why it's important that we do that or the reason why I feel like it's extremely important that Rotary Clubs do proactively share the work that we're doing is because our young generation, the people that we want to be joining Rotary Clubs, when they get on their social media channels, they're going to be seen with things that are like the Kardashians or like the materialistic kind of stuff that's what they see in their feeds constantly as they're growing up. And there's not much voices of people that are doing really good work in the community on social media channels and social media feeds. So if we don't do that, we're not setting up our youth for success. But when we do that, we're demonstrating that these are things that are important, that are valuable, that people need to be paying attention to. And the results for those speak for themselves. So this was another opportunity that we gave where we gave supplies to, it was called the Chino's Care Closet, and our Rotary Club came in and gave those supplies. We shared it on our social media channel with a nice video. And we're reaching 10,000 people with that organically. You want to collaborate. So I talked about, if you look at the poster, you can tag organizations in these on your social media channels. So every chance you get, you want to tag people and you want to make sure that they're included in your posts for a variety of different reasons. But number one, is going to reach more of an audience through those channels. Number two, the person that you're tagging is going to feel good about it. Number three, the person that you're tagging has the ability to share it on their accounts and it has the ability to upsell it and invite it. So you're just increasing your reach and increasing the people that you can connect with. So here's another example. We partnered with a bunch of different groups. This was a gentleman who we were working with his nonprofit who ended up joining the Rotary Club because we were tagging him and sharing him on all of our social media channels. So I wrote, one of the things that I didn't mention was, or that I haven't mentioned yet, was that I did write a book on how to do social media for golf courses. So I'm going to give some of the tips that I gave in that social media for golf courses book. And by the way, I don't think I mentioned this yet either. If anybody has any questions, Amy is here to moderate. She will interject with any questions that you might have. So feel free to put that in the Q&A or in the chat session. And we'll be happy to answer those throughout this presentation. So the book that I wrote was called The Social Golf Course, and it was how to think socially to grow your golf course. But those same rules about growing golf applies to chambers of commerce. It applies to Rotary Clubs. So what I want to share with you is this is like how to think socially for your Rotary Club and how to execute it and why it's important. So here's the what most people, and I think I mentioned this earlier, most people think of social media as, oh, it's kind of like a bulletin board. I can announce events. I can let people know things are coming up. And what I will tell you is it's very easy for anybody to spot an advertisement today or when people are trying to sell you. So if you're looking at using it as like a bulletin board, typically you're posting like a flyer of an event. If I'm scrolling through it, and I'm just imagining you have your phone here, you're scrolling through your phone. The minute you see an ad, you're just immediately skipping through it because you know that it's kind of a sales ad, and I liken this to emails. We know instinctively when we look at our email inbox which ones we should open because they're from a reputable sender or whatever it is, and which ones are probably spam that we shouldn't open, that we delete without even opening. So the same thing's happening on social media. So you want to create some storytelling components to your social media versus just posting flyers. It's okay to post flyers to announce an event, but the majority of your social media posting should be about telling the story of the work you do, because that's what's going to drive people to engage with it, to get connected and look involved. So in our Chamber of Commerce, we had, this is an opportunity, one way to do that. Amy, I see that you have your hand raised.
Yes, we have some interest if you can go over how does one get involved in a Rotary Club at some point in your presentation? Like, what does that look like? Is it free or is it low cost to join?
To join a Rotary Club?
Yeah,
Oh, to get, yeah. Well, to join a Rotary Club, I mean, I think the best way is to reach out to your local Rotary Club, identify who that is, or you could reach out to District 5300, and they will be happy to get you connected with that Rotary Club that makes the most sense for you. And then you'll find out each Rotary Club handles how they do things a little bit differently. But that would be how I would answer that question. Is that what you were going for, Amy?
fantastic. I believe so. It came up in the chat, and
Awesome.
I think that you covered it.
Perfect. The next, I'll go through and talking about like social media and how it drives return on investment. Um, and this is for businesses, it's for Rotary Clubs, it's for anything. Um, and there's a guy by the name of Gary Vaynerchuk who is like the top social media marketing guru who's been touting social media for years as a very successful business. Is in one of his books, he's like, what is the ROI of your mom? And this is a question that we would ask for businesses like, should I be on social media? What is the return on investment? It seems like I'm putting a lot of money into it and I'm not really getting anything back of it. And the question is like, what is the ROI of your mom? And what he's articulating in that sense is like, my mom is who made me who I am. So she's given me the skills, the abilities. She's educated me in a variety of different ways. She's given her time and effort and energy to make sure that I've become the person that I am today. And so social media, I think a lot of people think of it just as a marketing tool. It is not just a marketing tool. It can do anything and everything. And there's like thousands of pieces of information that just like your mom, you wouldn't place an ROI on your mom, but you would get feedback on how to be a better person or how to do better in business or how to grow your organization. So when we're talking about how social media does that is it's not just a marketing tool. So it can help increase your brand. It can help increase your reputation. It can help get you engaged more with your customers. It can help with lead generation and sales. It can help by giving you market insights so you know how to leverage your business to take advantage of the current market situations. It will help with employee retention by highlighting the work that they do and how they do it. It'll help with getting your content out. So sometimes you're creating marketing pieces, but you're not, it's a form of distribution. It helps with customer service. The thing that I love it the most for is like focus groups. You know, people pay a lot of money to do focus groups. You could just go online and ask your social media following what do they think of a certain product or program and how does that work. You can connect with influencers. You can do competitive analyses. There's a lot of insight features that will let you know what content is performing well and what content is not. You can focus on, use it as a crisis management tool. There was that recently there was that video from the Coldplay concert where there was that couple that were caught uh, that were that were caught having an affair, I guess, at the Coldplay concert. But the company that so they ended up getting let go from their jobs, but the company ended up hiring Coldplay's the lead singer of Coldplay's ex-wife, which is Gwyneth Paltrow, to do like a social media video talking about the company and what the company stands for. And so they were talking about this is a really good way to do crisis management. And so they really were intentional about how they tried to, how they focused on what the business is going to do moving forward. And they had a great way that they handled that. Um, Networking and partnerships. You can create different networks and partners. I know that in Rotary Club, it used to be, and I think that's one of the challenges that Rotary Clubs face is we used to be kind of responsible for bringing those networks together. Now people can find those things online. So if we're absent from that platform, I think we're doing a disservice to the work that we do. So just it allows for us to create and extend those networks and partnerships that we meet in our Rotary Clubs and in our community. You can help attract talent. You can do some community building. You can promote your events. And this is just the tip of the iceberg on some of the stuff that when it comes to social media, how it can enhance and grow the Rotary Club that you're representing. So here's an example that I wanted to share of a way that this drives ROI. And I just want you to imagine that this is, a member in your Rotary Club that does something great. So at this golf course that we do social media marketing for, this was a golfer. He was 86. He shot 22 strokes under his age, which was a world record. So it was the Guinness Book of World Records. I did not know about this until several months afterwards, where I kind of heard it in passing. And then I said, oh, that sounds like a good story. So I reached out to the guy who did it, asked if I could get him on camera talking about his round of golf that he shot. And I just interviewed him. And I interviewed him and I asked him a bunch of questions and talked about how he shot 22 strokes under his age. And then so we posted this on our social media channels. And what ended up happening was at the golf course, like I saw him maybe like a week or two later after we posted on social media, and he comes to me and he's like crying because he's like, Zeb, that was just like such a cool thing. I've had so many people at the golf course come up to me and tell me how cool that was and how much they admired that and that they were just talking to me. So he was just like so happy that they're doing this. But if you can imagine that when you're at that golf course and you see the guy across the way that you saw on social media that did that post, and then you go and thank that person. You're building that relationship in that community, which our Rotarians have fostered for years. And that's kind of the development that you can create when you're highlighting people that are doing stuff on site and you're sharing that online. So just think of all the people in your Rotary Club that have done something. They've gotten an award, they've gotten some kind of recognition, they're doing some kind of good work in the community. And these are all opportunities to share and highlight your members so that when the time comes and you guys do get together, there's also that kind of moments to be able to connect with those people on things that they're doing outside of your Rotary Club or inside of your Rotary Club. And then, like on a personal note, this is another way I mentioned that I've used the same rules that like when I was the president of the Rotary Club and using social media to drive that organization, and we were one of the fastest growing Rotary clubs in the country at the time. We've used the same thing at my local Chamber of Commerce. So I became the president and CEO in 2018. At the time, our chamber was struggling, and that's the reason why I ended up taking that over. But we've grown substantially. So we had 3 part-time people. We now have 8 full-time people. We've been recognized. We've been finalists for Chamber of the Year for the whole country the last 2 years. Our membership has grown to high levels, and our organization has grown. So this was a check that we received for $1 million to do this program that we put together called Upskill Chino Valley. But the reason why we received that $1 million of funds was because all of the people that we were connected to were following us on social media. We were doing a great job of storytelling about the work that we do to help enhance the work in our community. And so we had several of our legislators that wanted to support our efforts with some funding. So that was a check presentation we got on that day with my team. So here's some specifics about the different platforms and what you should be using those platforms for. So this is just like a Zeb 101 on the different social media channels and what you should be using them for. A lot of people use different social media platforms for different things. So this is just my interpretation of how to think about these organizations. So Facebook is great for community outreach. It's typically skewed older. Like when I first started this in 2010, Facebook was really for the younger generation. And then what happens is you have the young generation on there. The parents want to get on to see what the kids are doing. And then the grandparents want to get on to see what the kids are doing. And then that's when it becomes uncool. And then the kids find something else. So Facebook is more community-based. It's skewed older, but it's still very highly impactful. So anything you want to do, community-based work, Facebook is a really good way to engage that work. Instagram, I would say, is kind of for everybody. I think most people, regardless of age range, have some kind of Instagram account and engagement. So that's one that I would say is for everybody. Twitter. I see a lot of people on Twitter where they're trying to be influencers or they're trying to engage with industry peers in a communication in a very quick, brief communication. So I call it expert to expert. So you have a lot of people that are either trying to be experts or experts that are engaging on LinkedIn. And so it's a great way to connect with industry partners that are proactively doing things online. LinkedIn is good for your business professionals. So if you're ever looking to connect with other local businesses or doing any of that work, you can do that as well. YouTube is for any type of video content, typically more long form video content. And then TikTok is more creative video content. I'm going to share more later about the age ranges of some of those that engage there too. Another thing that I want to talk about is kind of the importance of personal branding. I think I shared earlier, one of the things that I feel like is extremely important is as Rotarians, I feel like we do really good work in our communities, and I feel like not many people know about that work. And when I think of my kids, like I want my kids to be able to give back, to spend time giving to other people, and I want to be able to role model that for them. And I know that the way, and this is not just my kids, but the way that people are absorbing information today is through their smartphones and through their feeds of their social media channels. So if we're absent from those, then we're not setting forth good principles for the next generation because not everybody is sharing the content about doing good work in their communities or being of service or helping support others. And I think this is a great way to do that. So while I'm saying do it from your Rotary Club account, and that's what this presentation is about, I also feel like I wanted to iterate that it's important to do it from your personal account as well. And so this is some examples of some posts that I do on my personal thing to make sure that I'm highlighting. I have like my 5 pillars that I follow is being of service is one, so making sharing all the times I'm of service, helping support business owners be successful, doing educating and learning, my family, and then doing activities like golf and soccer. So Amy, you have your hand raised again.
Hey Zeb, yeah. So a lot of our clubs might have an Instagram page that they're not using, they don't have access to. If there's one that they've started and now they want to shut down that other one, do you have any tips or guidance on how they can get that other account taken care of?
Yeah, and that's a consistent theme, not just with Rotary clubs, but also businesses, is you have people that will start an account. They will lose the password of the login information, or the person that started the account is no longer in the club. And so you've got to try to figure out how best to handle that. So I'll give you a couple of tips on trying to get that handled. And the easiest thing to do is to figure out who started that account and get the login and username from them. If you can figure out who started the account, they usually give you an email, like a semblance of an email. So it'll have some asterisks in there, but it'll let you know, hey, this is like the first letter of the email and it's at gmail.com or whatever it is. So sometimes you can piece together who is the owner of that account. The easiest thing to do is to get in touch with them and have them give you ownership of the account. If that's not possible, then yeah, starting your own account and getting it set up is there. What you do is you would report the other account. And we've had a lot of experience working on trying to do that to differing levels of success. Sometimes it gets deleted right away. Other times we're reporting it for years and it still hasn't been corrected. So it's kind of going to be hit or miss about how to handle that. Instagram, when you log in Instagram, it is a username and password. Facebook is you're logging in from your personal Facebook account, so they give you admin access from your personal Facebook account. So usually there's somebody that's there that is an admin of account that will help set up page roles and things like that. So my tip on that is make the easiest thing to do is get somebody who does have access to the account and try to make sure you can get it that way. And if that's not possible, you just report the other account and hoping that Instagram will flag that and remove that account. It doesn't always happen, but if you start posting on your Instagram account, eventually when you're doing searches for it, the one that is posting on a regular, consistent basis will be the one that shows up for most people. So you can keep that in mind too. Another thing that I feel like is important for Rotary clubs in particular to understand is when most people talk about or success on social media, they're talking about the number of followers that they have. So what I wanted to point out was is that I don't think in Rotary clubs that the number of followers that you have is important, although that definitely helps with exposure. But what you want is you want the right followers. You want the people that are engaging with your content because it's going to show up more. But two, you also increase the depth of the relationship. So what I mean by that is like oftentimes like people that have 1 million followers, they might not have people that are like engaging with that organization. In our case, most Rotary clubs are tied to a geographic location. What you really want to use that for is building a meaningful relationship with the people that are following your account. So letting them know about all the great positive things that you're doing. And I think that that's a missing piece that sometimes people don't think about in social media. It's like, how can I in sales, they'll say you need 18 touch points before you actually make a sale. Well, you have prospective Rotarians that are following your social media channels, that it gives you the ability to touch bases with them way more than 18 times to help lead them to a spot where they become a member of the Rotary Club, or they at least buy into your mission, or maybe they support a program or an initiative that you have going on. So here's some quick, I'm going to go into more detail on this, but here's some quick do's and don'ts of social media. So number one, I personally love asking questions. I think that's when you get a lot of feedback on responses. That's when you drive a lot of engagement. I will say that Instagram is not as much of a place to ask. Like most people that are looking at Instagram, they're scrolling and kind of liking pictures and stuff, but it's still appropriate from time to time to ask questions. But Facebook is a really good place to ask questions. You want to use visual content, so the more visual, the better. The more so it's like text based gets shown to less people. Photos get shown to less. Photos get shown more than text based posts, but less than video posts. And then video posts typically get more engagement and reach. You do want to engage with other folks too. So oftentimes, we're talking about posting on social media, but if somebody comments on your post or you're following, like I mentioned, those partners that you have, engaging on their social media posts is also a great way to develop and strengthen relationships. So you do want to engage when people comment on your posts or for partners that you're looking to partner with online, just as you would in person. You want to be authentic. So I share a story about a friend of mine where he would post all these pictures of him, and it wasn't even him. It was like stock photos of Lamborghinis and things like that. But that's not. It was just like an authentic messaging. So when you're posting on your social media channels, you want to make sure that you're posting the authentic work that you're doing, like you saw in some of those videos we shared before. You do want to be consistent. So, if people look at your page and you haven't posted on your account for 6 months, then do they know? Is the Rotary Club even still in existence? Is it still there? Are things going on there? So, my advice is if you do have an account set up, you want to make sure that you have some level of consistency. For Rotary Clubs, I don't think you have to do it as often as you would a business, but once a week. Even if it's once a month, at least you're having some kind of consistency there where people can see your post. The more often you do it, the better. The only rule of thumb when it comes to like posting a lot is I try to on Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn, it's usually a 3 hour window. So you just don't want to post within 3 hours of a post that you've done because they will limit your reach for each of the posts that you post in that same time frame. And then the last thing, and probably the most important, is analyzing your efforts. So when I mentioned that social media is like, what is the ROI of your mom? I think this is where you get the most values because you can post stuff, you can get feedback from whether or not that's resonating with people, and then you can try the next thing. If that is or isn't, you can try the next thing that does it even better, or you can shift strategies to focus on things that are working instead of aren't working. Amy, you have another question.
Yes, our attendees have some great questions. So there's a couple. You referenced video time being a couple seconds. How long would you recommend for videos on Instagram?
So it depends on the message that you're trying to get out. So I think the more important thing is the storytelling piece. And here's why I say a couple of seconds. So I'm going to show you some slides in a couple of moments here about some of the work we do in the golf industry. So the clips where they're just doing a golf swing and they have some kind of like training allocated, like those are getting millions of views. And those are like 3 to 6 seconds of time. But sometimes you need a little bit more time to do the storytelling piece. Typically, they'll say under a minute so that it fits in kind of the reels on Instagram. So I would recommend it being under a minute, and I would recommend making it as short as possible. So if you can get it down to those 3 to 6 seconds, that's great. But you still want to get out your core message. So I think to answer that is the shorter videos will get more views and impressions if they're entertaining and engaging.
Definitely. And then can you highlight what is the difference between a story post and a reel on Instagram?
So the story post is a 24-hour temporary post that you put on your account. So that's really good for in the moment capturing things where you're not like really curating it. You're not like being intentional about it. You're just like, hey, we're at this event. Let me capture a picture, or let me capture a quick video and show that with our folks. That's how I'd usually describe it. There are things that you don't want to have on there for a longer period of time, but they are things that you want to highlight and capture. So like as an example, if I'm doing an event in my feed, I would really only want to post that maybe once or twice to let people know, hey, I was doing this thing, or like I got an award, right? I got an award. I want to post that once on my feed, but I don't want people looking at like when they look me up to be like, hey, he's posting about his award like 30 different times. But when you're on that story side of things, it's in the moment, you're capturing it there, you're kind of doing the little storytelling of what's happening in that moment. And so you can share those and they will disappear within 24 hours. So that way you're not, it doesn't it doesn't look like you're just kind of bombarding people with that look. But the story area is a good place to do that.
Yes, and one thing that I have learned is with Instagram stories, if you have the save toggle on, then it saves all those stories and you can easily reuse them in your recap and you don't have to take extra video. So that's a little tip as well. Thanks, Seb. I'll let you continue on.
Yeah, excellent. And Amy, I know that this is also work that you do. So anytime you want to chime in and add some color to this, please, you're more than welcome to do so. And then here's some don'ts. So you don't want to be overly promotional. There's a book by that guy, Gary Vaynerchuk, that made it. His book was called Jab, Jab, Right Hook. So in theory, what you're saying is you're jabbing with like engaging content, getting people involved. And then every once in a while, you do want to do your right hook where you're selling your membership or you're selling your product or whatever it is. So the tip is don't just always post sales stuff. Don't always post, hey, come to this event. Don't always post your marketing of upcoming things. You don't want to be overly promotional. You want to do that on occasion. You don't want to post just flyers. Like I mentioned, people very immediately will see advertisements as they're scrolling through their feed. The more things look like an ad, the less likely they're going to look on it. And flyers is a great thing that makes it very easy to tell that this is some kind of promotion or advertisement. Where in theory, you want to, the things that get the most traction is people's faces, especially recognizable faces. So those are things where people will stay on those longer because they feel like they're engaging and interacting with an authentic person. Uh, the don't is don't engage. So make sure that you are engaging on stuff. So oftentimes people that run social media accounts, they will post stuff and then they'll have all these comments, but they never respond to any of the comments. So eventually what will happen is those people won't feel like they're being listened to and they will leave. So you want to make sure that you engage with people, and also it's not that they will leave, but the goal of this stuff is you're developing relationships with people to become members or to become a part of your business or whatever it is you're working towards. So if you're not engaging with them, you're kind of missing the point of what the whole social media thing is. So make sure you're engaging with people when they engage with you. Don't post the same type. This is one of the things that I see with a lot of Rotary clubs is they post the same thing over and over and over again. It gets no traction. There's nobody engaging on it, and then they keep posting that same type of content. We've got to analyze the work that we're doing and realize that if it's not working, then we got to try something else. So don't just post the same thing over. And that's where most people will say, well, social media didn't work for me. I tried it and it didn't work. It's because you're not learning anything from the work you're doing. This is a great tool. You post something, you get immediate feedback on whether or not it's working or not, and then you use that information to do something, the next thing, which is even better. Don't post infrequently. So, like I mentioned, if you're not doing it within 6 months, that's a, it doesn't make you look good and you're going to miss out on the results of social media. And then don't fail to learn. So, everything that we do on the social media is a learning opportunity. So, make sure that you're using those as opportunities to learn, improve, and grow the work that you're doing. Yes, Amy.
So one of the questions is they would like to know, are views considered engagement on Instagram?
So views is like the reach metric, right? So there is, I'll give you some caveats to this. So I'll talk about video content. They will track how long you're watching a video. So yes, views and how long you're viewing a video will determine if that shows up to more people. So they will count those as engagements. I think if you're doing a video post, that's how many people you're reaching. So they will track things like how time you're lingering on that photo, if you're clicking on the photo, if you're clicking on the video. They track all of that stuff, and then that determines whether or not they show it to the next person. So I would say views in and of itself is the reach metric, that the more engaging that thing is, the longer it will be. So I guess there's some caveats to that where video content, it's how long you view the thing, which will determine how much it shows up for other people.
Absolutely. I think something that a lot of people don't realize is the moment that an image pops up on your screen. So if you're going through your newsfeed, the moment that image or that video is there, it's tracking. It says this person, this user is engaging with this content. They're interested in whatever's on their screen. And so that boosts the engagement for that other user's account. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And that's a good way to phrase it. As long as
I
you're
don't think people realize that like you don't have to hit the like button
yeah.
to be counted as engaged.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's kind of like how long it's on your screen for sure.
Great question.
All right, so I'm going to share some. This is from some. So one of the things that I do speak on social media a lot. So I like to do some like case study examples. So I interviewed some of the people in the chamber industry that were doing social media really well, and I interviewed them about what are some things that we should look into. So this is from my interview was with the lady who manages the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives, like the national organization. And I kind of asked her, what are some tips that you have when it comes to social media posting? And so she had the experience of working with a lot of other chambers to see who was doing it well. She pointed out the Boise Chamber, where they would use these stories to tell. So this is video content where they would post stories. They talk about all of the benefits of the Chamber of Commerce, but you can see this isn't shown up as like an advertisement. It's more like of a creative video that they put together with some clear things of stuff that they've done. So if you want to check out some good storytelling, the Boise Chamber, I think, does a good job with some of their storytelling features. You do want to try to have calls to action on all of your posts or on the majority of posts. I know I mentioned that jab, jab, right hook where you don't want to post overly related sales content, but sometimes the call to action is a question, or sometimes the call to action is something. But what is the outcome of this post? What do you want people to do? Do you want them to reach out to you? Do you want them to leave a comment? Do you want them to respond to a question? Those are things that you can put in that call to action. Another tip for Rotary Clubs. So I mentioned that one of the things that a challenge that people will get into is they'll post the same content over and over and over again, and it doesn't lead to results. A good social strategy is having different focuses. So a good strategy is having different buckets, right? So you have, hey, we're going to do a pre-event promotion where it's not going to be a flyer, but it'll be our president talking about the event, or it'll be a creative video that we do to get people excited and inspired about the event. We would do this business expo where we went on site. We would take our chairperson of the board. We'd interview them on site and try to make it clever with a bunch of our other team members. So that's like your pre-event promotion. You can have your post-event follow-up promotion. That's another bucket. You can have your buckets on like your service. You can have a bucket on how like highlighting your members, highlighting the work that your members are doing. So by putting your content and thinking of like maybe 4 or 5 different buckets, that might help identify where you should place your content in. So if you're thinking of your Rotary Club, what are the 5 things, the 5 buckets that we could create content about? You do want to tag different groups, so making sure that you're tagging, you're this is a ribbon cutting that we did through the chamber. You're tagging the business so that they're going to highlight and promote it. You're using hashtags, but partnerships are really a thing that will help grow any social media presence. So if instead of just you posting about tagging somebody else and getting them engaged in your post will help grow your social media following too. Another thing that is helpful, and I know Amy's great at this, is putting together a content calendar, having a plan in place of like how you're going to do content. So if you know your event is up in September, you could have a post go out, you can have that little content here. We want to post something on social media 3 months out, 6 weeks out, a month out, 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 1 week, and then daily on the week of. So you just have that kind of documented so that you can, make sure that you're following through with a plan to do your social posting. This is another one where it's like this Grand Junction Chamber of Commerce, Junction area of Chamber of Commerce. They don't ever do any kind of event promotion on their website or like marketing or anything. They're just using it purely as storytelling. And I think that's the best way to use social media, especially for Rotary clubs, because what we really want to do is to showcase the work and do the storytelling that allows people to get connected with that work. And so we have the great medium or platform to do that. So making sure that we set up a way to do that. Like I said, you don't want to post the same thing over and over again. So making sure that there's diversity in your messaging. So if you look at my feed or if you look at our chamber's feed or if you look at other things, there's those 5 buckets that we have. And I think I shared my 5 buckets before. So if you look at my personal social media account, this is what you're going to find. You're going to find pictures of my family. You're going to find pictures of me being of service, which is typically through Rotary Club. You're going to find a picture of me engaging with businesses. I like helping passionate business owners become successful. I like educating and learning, so doing that. And then the last thing is doing activities like soccer and golf. So those are the 5 things that you'll find on my social media platform. I think in Rotary, your club, you can identify like what are those 5 things that we want to make sure that we highlight and that we focus and we do storytelling around. And that will help you with your diversity and your messaging. Engagement is important. So if you're posting something that is not getting people to click on that like, comment, or share button, then I would encourage you to think of different ways to do your social media posting. So what you'll find is when people do that same thing over and over again, they're just going to have less and less people looking at it, and that's not a winning scenario for anybody. You can also use social media as a relationship building tool. So one of the things that I do feel like I've done fairly successfully is I've interviewed a lot of people that are experts in their field. I did a podcast called the Defining Success Podcast for a long time. So I would just interview people that have some level of expertise. In your case, you could use this to invite people to learn more about Rotary or to invite people who you're like interested in. You're highlighting them through your social media posts, but you're also informing them of what Rotary is and how to get involved. So using it to develop relationships. Asking questions is important. So there's these, if you're following in any of those Facebook community groups or anything, anytime you ask questions, you're going to drive a lot of engagement. I want to talk briefly about AI because I know that we are going to do a upcoming webinar on artificial intelligence. So this is something that's extremely important when it comes to social media too, and like leveraging AI to make your life easier. There are lots of ways that you can use it, and I'll give 2 quick examples on that for the work that we're doing that I'm presenting on today. Is you can create social media posts using AI. So you can ask it instead of trying to do proper grammar and do a lot of stuff to say, hey, I want to get people excited about attending this event. Give me a post about my upcoming event and make sure they highlight that. Or I'm I want to try to drive membership through the Rotary Club. What are some posts that will help me encourage people to become a member of our club? That's a couple of quick examples. But the other thing is, I mentioned that content calendar or identifying what your buckets are. You can ask it, hey, I'm trying to create some content bucket ideas for things that I can post on my social media channels. Give me 5 to 10 different buckets that you feel like I could post in. When you're using AI, the more information you give it, the better. But if you just, it will help brainstorm and give you some ideas at the very least, even with simple prompts. But the more information you give it, the more appropriate responses it will give back. A lot of businesses will use it as sales funnels. So like when I mentioned we were adding all of those members when I was a president back 10 years ago or whenever that was, we invited people to share if they were interested in becoming a member or not. So we were able to attract people that signed up because of our social media presence. Having ways that people can click on a link to register or email you to get more information or that type of stuff, you can use it to drive sales for your organization. The one thing I will share about AI is sometimes it's really easy to tell when things are created with artificial intelligence. So just be cognizant and careful of what that looks like because uh, he, yeah, so you just want to make sure that it's in your voice, that it's authentic, that it's there. And so sometimes when you create things with AI, it'll do things that very clearly is not like authentically you and your organization. You want to be able to communicate member value, leverage your volunteers. This is a great way to highlight some of the work that people do in your area. So just making sure that you're using it to communicate the value of your membership and how volunteers impact your organization. This is what I meant by over-reliance on AI. So sometimes you just like what I do sometimes is like I would take this picture, I'd upload it in AI, say, hey, create me a post about this, and it'll do the post. And what you notice with the text on the right is that it uses a lot of emojis. It uses a lot of kind of similar verbiage. Something like thrilled is a word that they use, like I'm thrilled about this, or they use those dashes in the prompts. And so there's some like telltale signs that things are AI generated, which isn't the end of the world. But I think if you want to create authentic posts, you want to make sure that if you are using AI, you just edit it so that it's in your tone and in your style. And as AI advances and corrects, I think it's going to get more and more in tune with what your style is. But for now, you really do need to edit it and make sure that it's appropriate. Another cool thing to consider is like doing like really cool initiatives. So like like a member spotlight. So you're doing them every week or every month. You're highlighting a member, you're highlighting the work they do, and then you have these as like little initiatives that you work on uncovering. So in this case, a Tascadero would go to these locations that most people didn't know about. And they do a little 30-second commercial and they'd highlight that business or that member. And then they do that on a weekly basis, highlighting what's going on in the Tascadero. Yes, Amy.
Hey, so in your last slide, I noticed that you had a link in your Instagram post. And I know one question that a lot of people have is where should I be sharing links? And do links hurt or help in the algorithm? Would you mind kind of doing a brief overview of platforms and where should we be sharing links? Should it be in the bio? And is it appropriate to say link in bio in 2025?
That's a good question. I might throw that one back on you. Give me your feedback on that, Amy, and then I'll give you mine.
Absolutely. So we have our event posts availability on LinkedIn and Facebook, where we can actually create a link, create an event post, and it has a place where you can put an external link for registrations, RSVPs. Now, on actual Instagram, we don't have that ability of creating an event post. So we're just making actual posts. And if we put that link in the copy, users can't click on that link. So oftentimes we'll see link in bio. So I use Linktree. That is software that you just plug in multiple links. You can put it in the bio, and then when you have an event, you add it to your Linktree, and then that link can be the top thing on the Linktree. I've also heard, I can't speak from research, I've heard that it hurts you in the algorithm if you put a link in a Facebook post or an Instagram post because it reads it as you're trying to take the user off of the platform. Now on LinkedIn, it's welcomed. Would you agree with those statements?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So you will notice there, and that's one of the things when we're talking about like evaluating the work that you're doing and like identifying what works and what doesn't. You will find that if you share things that do have links, that you will have less engagement and less reach, um, predominantly speaking, and especially like and you're totally right about it taking them off site. So what Facebook wants or what Instagram wants is they want you on their website 24/7. So anything that takes them away from that, they're gonna like they'll let you do it, but they're gonna discourage it. And the way that they discourage it is by showing up to less people. So yes, absolutely, that's there. The Linktree thing, many people do use Linktree. There are ways to include links in the story feature, so you can include links, and I think there's varying levels on Instagram, like depending on what status you are posting, that will allow certain times to post links or certain posting to do that. And then I recently heard, I don't know if this is true or yet not either, but this was like as of a couple of days ago. I think they did give you the ability to do more with links in your actual posts. So those are
Very cool.
consider.
Thanks for elaborating.
Yeah, for sure. You want to try your best to create like strong visual content. So up close photos. When you're doing videos, you want to make sure you're doing them up close. When I was a kid, I went to a journalism workshop, and one of the photographers, I just never forget the lesson he gave me. I thought I was getting really close when I was taking pictures and videos and stuff. But then when you go back and look at them, like they are really far away. The closer you get for photos and videos, the better off those videos are going to perform. And also the higher quality you have. So like on iPhones, there's like the cinematic video view, or there's the portrait feature. The more high quality videos that you post on your channels, the more I've recognized that those tend to get more views as well. We've kind of talked about signature campaigns, but this is an example of a CEO at a chamber, and this is kind of what I did with the Rotary Club. Was we would on a monthly basis we would do some kind of hands-on activity. We would document it with video, and then we'd share it. And then I'm realizing that we are hitting our end time. So give me real quick and I'll run through a couple of things. So one is you can use paid advertising to promote events, and authenticity wins. So you want to be as authentic as possible when you're doing your social media posting. With that, I think I'll end there and just kind of say thank you for the opportunity for this. I'm happy to stick around and answer any questions anybody might have. But I want to thank Amy for arranging and coordinating all this. I want to thank Gilda for her role as our district governor. And just thank you for the opportunity to share this today. And if anybody has any questions now or in the future, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to reach out. My email address is zeb@welbornmedia.com.
Yes, and to all of the viewers on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to the Rotary District 5300 for all public image and marketing tidbits. I don't see any additional questions. I think, thank you, Zeb. Thank you for doing this and taking the opportunity. And we'll be back in a couple weeks with a webinar all about AI and how it can benefit your Rotary Club.
Excellent. Thank you all very much.
All right. See you next time.